Hi guys, this is Raquel with Paints and Glitter. I just wanted to come to you with a tutorial video showing you how I'm making, or the process of how I'm making a fall banner using some beautiful cardstock that's got glitter in it and just some beautiful colors that are actually my favorite fall colors. So the stack is from DCWV. It's an older stack called the lemon flower stack, and I'd been hoarding it and I decided these are my favorite fall colors, so I'm just going to go ahead and use it for this project. But I wanted to give you guys some pointers because this is with the Cricut, using Cricut Design Space, and I wanted to show you this is the cut that I'm using to make what will be, if you can see that there, okay, what will be now I'm forgetting the name of it. Oh my goodness, it's called Rosette. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot that. Okay, so it's going to be the Rosette for the banner, okay, because I'm making a banner that's going to say the word fall. So what I wanted to show you is that because of the size of this, and I'm going to show you how wide this is, for this rosette you would need 8 pieces cut like this. And this measures about, let's see here, 5, I want to say, let's see here, it's just under 5.5, or I guess it would measure 5.5. So I'm going to go with 5.5 inches wide. Then the Cricut tells you that it cannot fit 4 of these pieces on a 12-inch mat because of the size of it being 5.5 inches. Then obviously it tells you it's too large for the mat. But what I found was, and this is why I'm showing you the tutorial, that if you flip your paper around, say it'll cut 1 and 2 here, then you flip it to the other side and feed it in this way, you can actually fit 4 of those pieces on a 12 by 12 piece of paper, because for some reason it actually cuts about 1/8 of an inch in the corner of the mat. And I apologize for all the background noise. I have 2 crickets running at the same time here. But I want to show you. Do you see how far in it actually cuts? So what I did was I just moved my paper over that 1/8 of an inch. Okay. And I don't know if that's a problem with one of the updates, but I decided to stop fighting with Cricut and just go with it. So to peel it off of my mat, what you want to do is you want to pull the mat away from the paper, and if you have an intricate bit like this, you want to leave that to the end, and you're going to see how easy that's just going to peel right off. You see that? So you don't have to fiddle with it. Now, because this was glitter paper, I do want to show you guys. You can see it from the back there. Not all of it cuts out perfectly, but because of the type of project that I'm making, in this instance, I'm not even going to worry about it because it's a dark paper, and once I'm done, no one's going to be able to notice. So obviously, you know, if I were doing it for someone else, I'd really be upset. But because it's glitter paper, for some reason, sometimes it cuts like butter, and then other times it doesn't. See, like this one, there's one little bit there that didn't cut at all. And it's, guessing it's because of the blade. I do have brand new blades on both of my Cricuts, but, you know, it's one of those things. It's kind of like the nature of just how things go sometimes. So what I did there, as you can tell, is I had held down that paper with washi. Because of the glitter paper, for some reason, it just eats up the adhesive, I would say. And then what I do is, as soon as I take that out, I just peel away what I don't need with my spatula. And I'm showing you this because also I learned by watching other people make projects. I know that that's just, I'm a visual learner, and there are a lot of projects that you see online, whether it be Pinterest or anywhere else. I stay away from it because I think it gives people, I don't know, the wrong idea. But anyway, the reason I wanted to show you was because that's just one mat. I'm actually using 3 mats at the moment. and I want to show you, because otherwise this would take me all day. I'm literally feeding it in, taking them out, okay, and then pulling away my paper, so on and so forth, okay? So you see how easily that came off? I didn't have to fiddle with it, I didn't have to fight with the paper, or the intricate cuts, but I want you to see this one cut out with no errors, no problem whatsoever. So it really is, you know, as they would say, luck of the draw. But anyway, now that I have all of my papers cut out, so to speak, I just wanted to show you guys, once you have your pieces cut out, here's a little trick that I learned to make my life easier when making rosettes, which is that I try to face my paper. Now I'm left-handed, so I'll face it this way to my left. If you're right-handed, you might want to do it this way. But in any case, I take every single piece and I fold the first line away from me, because this will score, and it's hard to see the score lines, but the Cricut does score the rosettes for you. And then I skip a line. I don't know if you can tell that that's what I'm doing here, but I'm literally skipping a line and then folding the second or every other line. Okay, so I always fold away from me. Then what I do is I flip over that same paper, you see that? And in between there, I'll fold away from me as well. And at this point, I'm disregarding the end that has all of those frilly little bits. I'm not even acknowledging that at this point, because all I want is to start that accordion fold, okay? And like I had mentioned, for this project, you would need 8 of each piece. And then what I do is, once I have it all folded like that, that's when I start gathering my hills. Okay, I pull all the hills toward me. And for this, you might want to be a little more careful, of course, because you don't want to break the paper. Although, the one good thing about glitter paper is that it does have sort of a coating, if you will, that makes it a little bit easier to use without it breaking too easily. So I guess I skipped one there, so there's that one. And this is by no means perfect at this point, but once I have all of those folds like that, that's when I use my bone folder to reinforce the folds. And there we go. That makes it a lot easier. Then I go back and I try to work with the more intricate bits. And I do take my time with that. I'm just going a little bit faster for the sake of the video, okay? But once I have all of those together, then, and again, it would be 8 of those, right? Then what I start doing is I start gluing them one after the other this way, okay? So it becomes one long strip. And what I wanted to show you is that it doesn't matter, because they all look the same, you know, it's the same paper, and it doesn't have a pattern that competes with itself, meaning that, you know, it's just all floral, all polka dot that way. It won't, visually, it won't be a problem when you go to put it all together. So I try to pick a background pattern that just repeats itself, I guess. Alright, so now say I have all of these glued together, or all of them folded. That's when I start, you know, making sure, like I had said before, all of the valleys together. It comes along rather quickly once you've made a few, and you reinforce those folds. But in any case, then I just start gluing, and with this type of paper I learned that even double-sided adhesive doesn't work. I started gluing it with hot glue, just like that, until I had all 8 of them together. Once you have them all together, let me show you, then that's when you can form a circle with it all toward the middle, and then this will cut out also the shape that you need for the background. What I did was, as you can see here, that was my boo-boo. That's why I like to show my errors so you can learn from me. Because I didn't do it fast enough, so I just flipped the paper over again, added a bunch of hot glue, and then I placed the paper on top. And it glued much easier that way, but essentially it's just a circle, then your hot glue there, and all of your strips that were one, you can then, you know, it'll look like a crown that you're flipping in, okay? And I'll try to film that if I can. Then you can layer on top of that whatever you like, really. I'm going to be covering it with another piece of paper from the same collection that I really like. And this is the same ornate border that you saw on the Rosette is on this piece of paper, only it looks more like a doily, of course. And then I used a die from my stash to cut out some Cricut paper. That's this beautiful silver. That's going to go on top. And then what I'll do is I cut out the letters using one of the Anna Griffin collections. I forget which one. But this is just the letter A, and again, mine's going to say fall. And I cut that out of yellow and white, and that'll go on top. And then I also cut out the little leaves from her cartridge, and I'll just place those here and there. And those are just out of a silver card. I actually got that paper at the dollar store, so that'll go there. And I'm just going to place them here and there. I haven't decided finally, you know. And then I also cut out from another die, a Spellbinders die, I cut out some bees. I collect, I like to decorate with bees and I collect them, so that's also going to go on my banner. And I'm undecided on whether or not I want to do them in silver, but I think I might keep them all in gold. And I'll just place those here and there to cover all those little boo-boos that the Cricut made on my paper. But there you have it. This is just one of the rosettes, and what I'll do is I'll try to show the final piece as well. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. What I'll try to do is I'll try to show also the assembly on this video. If not, then maybe I'll show that separately. But in any case, I hope that this has been helpful to you, and I hope that you can be inspired and be blessed. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Okay, so here I have my pieces, and I just have some extra glue sticks. My glue gun has been heated for at least 20 minutes. I like to have the glue ready to go for at least 20 to 30 minutes so that it flows easily. I'm just applying a strip along the side here, and what I'll do is grab my next piece of paper, lay it right on top, and you're gonna see that not all of them are perfect because, again, my glitter paper did not cut out perfectly, but I'm not going to be too concerned with that. What I want to make sure is that when I layer it, I don't layer it too close to that fold, so that way my valleys and hills can, you know, remain as they should be. And then over here on the edges, I did go ahead and pinch them and try to get them folded correctly. So I'm going to keep creating this long strip, and as you see here, I'm only applying the adhesive on that solid part, not on the intricate part of it, but I am matching it up as much as possible there before applying any pressure to it, so that it remains straight. And I'm just using a regular silicone glue. I'm not using anything extremely heavy duty or anything like that, because this will do. So I will just continue until I have all of my pieces together here, like so. And you can add a little more or less, however you like. And if I see anything that I don't like, I will actually cut it off, because I did also want to mention that I did use the hide contour feature on this intricate part of it. And the reason I did that was because I didn't want it to cut out every single little detail, because I knew the type of paper that I would be working with would be a little bit more difficult to deal with if I had to worry about the blade moving back and forth, because I was using the fine point blade or the regular German carbide blade for the Cricut. I don't have the maker, so if I had the Cricut maker, I would probably not worry too much about this, because it does have the ability to move the blade differently. But because of the way the Cricut Explore Air works, with the movement of that blade, I hid some of the little intricate pieces there. And how do you do that on Design Space? Just select your item that you're working with, and on the layers panel on the right hand side, you're going to, if you highlight the item, you're going to see a button that says hide contour. Select that, and then it's going to show you a pop-up of that same image, and you get to pick and choose what you want to hide. That's probably one of my favorite features in Design Space. I use it quite a bit. And if it does have score lines like these, you may need to, I don't remember if I had to do it or not, but you may need to detach and hide these score lines before you can hide contour. I don't think I had to do that on this though. I can't remember now. So I apologize for that. But now I have all of these, as you saw, in a row is how I was able to adhere those. I obviously need to match these ends. Okay, so I'm going to do that next by applying the adhesive here. And of course you want to be careful because this is quite hot. But once you have it placed, that's when you can apply pressure. You know, being careful not to put too much so that it doesn't ooze from the back there and then burn your fingers. And that's just practice, practice, practice. So, okay, so now I have what I said would look like a crown. I'm going to move the camera for a moment here. So you see how that looks a bit like a crown there, because it's quite a few pieces. What I'm going to do now, which I didn't do with my first one, and that's why I ended up having to do it over again, is I'm just pushing in, and you see how it will want to flip back out again. So you kind of have to play with it. All right. And this is the harder part of assembling this, is that it wants to, there we go, it wants to flip out, so to speak. But if you put pressure on it, hold it down with one hand and start gathering with the other, then you should be able to pull that all toward the middle, because that's your goal, is that it's kind of like the eye here. You want to create an eye. And if you glued them all the way that I did, you should have all of your valleys and all of your hills just perfect, with the way that I showed you how to score it. Okay, so then this, you don't have to be too gentle with it, because number one, and let me get back in frame, I apologize for that. Number one, you're working with glitter paper, so there is some body to this paper, which is why it was, you know, retaining its shape so much. But you want to apply that pressure so that you get that tight little concentric form there with the rosette. And then if you need to, you can kind of play around with it a little bit too, because the glue is not going to dry immediately. But the tricky part now is going to be getting it on that circle. What I find is that if I do it, and this is what I was thinking of doing, is doing half of it first and then the other half. It might be a little bit easier. So that's what I'm going to aim for, is just applying, oops, and that's what you don't want to have it move on you. But I'm going to try to apply this to half of it first, okay, just like that. All right, and I'm applying pressure here. And I'm not going to worry too much about how centered that is either. But then I'm going to apply the adhesive on the second half of my paper here, going underneath. Okay, and hopefully you guys can see that. And you can always add more glue. So I have half of it is adhered. Now I'm going to press on the other half to get that on there. I'm trying to work fast here before this glues down, and it is tricky if you lose your shape like I did, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. It's just popping out because of it being glitter paper. It's a little bit tougher to work with than regular cardstock. But that's precisely why I wanted to show this, because as I had mentioned before, if you see it in pictures, you get the idea that this comes along super easy. And hey, maybe there's someone out there who knows some tricks that I don't, but I wanted to show you how it was coming along for me. There we go. All right. Because then you're going to see that you do have to, there we go, you have to apply quite a bit of pressure to get that toward the center there. Now if your rosette, if you're going to have a rosette be a bit bigger, then the center doesn't have to be so tight, and that's okay. But let me add another stick here. Whoops, there we go. But I wanted mine, there we go, and I needed a new stick so that I could even feed the adhesive in there, because my glue gun is not the best, but kind of have to do finger gymnastics here. But that works anyway. Okay, but what I wanted to point out was that depending on how big you want the rosette to be, and I didn't want mine to be too big, then that's how small you want the center, that circle in the middle, to be. Okay, all right, so now that I have it adhered, now I can go back and go ahead and, you know, pinch here and there if need be. And like I had said before, if there was anything I don't particularly love, I'll even cut it, because this is just for my personal use. But now that I have the back on here, and as you can see, it's shifted, so it's not perfectly centered, and I'm okay with that. I will now be able to put the doily on top. Okay. And as we say in Spanish, ojos que no ven, corazón que no siente. In other words, eyes, how do you say that in English? Eyes that don't see, heart that does not feel, or something. I don't know how to say it in English. But now I'm going to go ahead and load this center with, and I like to apply it here, right in the middle. And I'm going to use quite a bit of glue, and that's why I had those extra glue sticks on standby. Now this paper here that I used for the top actually has stripes on it, so it's the placement of my letters is also going to be contingent on how I want that to look, which I'm thinking that I want it, let's see here. My OCD tells me that it should be lined up straight with the rosette, but let me see here. I don't know if I can move that. Yes, I can. It's still warm enough. And that's exactly what I'm going to do, is I'm going to, there we go, place it so it's visually appealing for me. Now, as you guys saw before, and I think I showed it, the Cricut did not cut every single one of my pieces perfectly because my blade on one of the Cricuts was new, and I thought both of them were. So it turns out only one of them was brand new, and so it skipped and hopped here and there. But in any case, I have, let's see here, I had my letter A, and I have this centerpiece here, which this is not a Cricut cut, it's just something I cut out with a die from my stash, and I'm just going to apply adhesive in the center. And if you guys saw, I mean, if you could see my table, my coffee cup, which is to my left here, is covered in hot glue now. All right, so I am going to alternate so that this one's going to be the letter L, because I'm going to have two letter L's. So one of them will have the stripes, or actually maybe this should be, let's see, this might need to be a different one. Let me take a look here. This might need to be the letter A just because of the placement of the adhesive. But here's my letter F. Yeah. So this one's going to be my letter A. And that will cover that little bit of adhesive there. And I think it'll look nice. So just going to do that here and there. And any, see, now this glue is not hot enough for me. That's why it's leaving all those little cobwebs. But once it dries, I'll remove them. So that, all right. So there's the letter A. And I think that's the one I had showed as the example. But then I'm going to hide little leaves here and there. But I'm going to do that last because I want to see how all of them look before I start adding the little embellishments, and then I'll finish it off with that. But that's the assembly of that letter, and I'm not going to bore you any longer, so what I will do is I will just show the finished piece with pictures. And like I had mentioned before, I got this beautiful gold paper and the silver paper. I went ahead and made little embellishments that I like for that, and I'll finish it off with my little bees. So thanks again for watching. Bye.